Have you ever wondered why America seems to be in a constant state of conflict? It's not just about politics or ideology. It's about money. The truth is, war is the most profitable business in human history, and for centuries, a select few have perfected a system to milk it for every dollar. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a business model, a repeatable pattern that has made a handful of families unimaginably wealthy. This pattern isn't about who wins or loses on the battlefield. It's about who controls the money. Wars don't start with soldiers, they start with financiers. Think about it. Governments rarely have enough cash on hand to fund a massive war. So, what do? They borrow. This is where the magic begins for the financial elite. When a nation goes to war, it issues bonds and takes out massive loans, creating guaranteed high-interest income for the bankers who fund it. This cycle is brutally simple and effective. First, you create fear. You build up a threat, real or imagined. Then, you offer the solution, war. And who's there to provide the cash? The same bankers and industrialists. They finance the war effort, sell the weapons, and supply the fuel. When the fighting is over, and cities lie in ruins, who gets the contracts to rebuild? The very same people. From destruction to reconstruction, every single phase generates profit for the same elite group. Let's name some names because this isn't an abstract concept. This is history. Take the Rothschilds. They practically invented modern war financing. During the Napoleonic Wars, they famously funded both sides. They knew that regardless of who won, the victor would have to honor the debts. When the Battle of Waterloo concluded, their agents got the news back to London before anyone else. They used this inside information to manipulate the stock market, multiplying their fortune and solidifying their control over European finance. They created the playbook. Finance both sides, control the debt, and you own the outcome. Then came the industrial titans, the Rockefellers. Their company, Standard Oil, became the lifeblood of modern warfare. As tanks, planes, and ships replaced horses, oil became the most crucial resource. During both World War I and World War II, Rockefeller's companies supplied the fuel that powered the Allied war machines. While nations burned and millions died, Standard Oil's profits soared. War was, quite literally, fuel for their empire. And you can't talk about war profits without mentioning J.P. Morgan. During World War I, the Morgan Bank became the exclusive purchasing agent for Britain and France in the United States. They managed over $3 billion in contracts for war supplies. They also orchestrated the sale of war bonds to the American public, taking a commission on every single one. J.P. Morgan didn't just profit from the war. He was the central switchboard for the entire Allied financial and industrial effort. Let's not forget the DuPonts. Their family motto could have been, "War is good for business." As one of the world's largest producers of gunpowder and explosives, their fortunes multiplied with every conflict. From the Civil War to the World Wars, the demand for their products was insatiable. For the DuPonts, peace meant a slump in sales. Conflict was their business model. And then there's the fascinating case of the Bush family. Prescott Bush, the grandfather of one president and father of another, was a director of a bank that had business dealings with companies financing Germany's rearmament in the 1930s. This connection highlights the transition from old money industrialists to a new kind of power, the political financial dynasty, where influence in Washington and profits on Wall Street become inseparable. These families didn't just fund wars. They shaped the political landscape to ensure the cycle of conflict would continue. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, a five-star general who knew war better than almost anyone, gave a chilling farewell address in 1961. He warned America about the rise of something he called the military-industrial complex. He saw that the massive war industries built for World War II weren't being dismantled. Instead, they were becoming a permanent part of the American economy. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing became giants, their health tied directly to the nation's defense budget. What Eisenhower warned about has become our reality. The war economy has become the normal economy. Look at the U.S. defense budget. It's larger than the next 10 countries' budgets combined. We no longer end wars. We just rotate them. 8. A new conflict, a new enemy, a new reason to spend trillions. This perpetual motion machine keeps the profits flowing to the defense contractors, the banks that finance the debt, and the politicians who approve the budgets. But how do they get away with it? How do they convince the public to support one war after another? The answer is propaganda. Public consent is the final crucial ingredient. The same elites who own the banks and the arms companies also wield immense influence over the media and political narratives. They use patriotism, fear, and the promise of security to sell each new war to the public. Every conflict is framed as a necessary defense of freedom or a fight against evil. But look at the financial results. They are always the same. The public pays, with their taxes and, tragically, with the lives of their sons and daughters. The national debt skyrockets, and the wealth and power of the financial elites grow ever larger. The soldiers lose their lives, the citizens lose their wealth, and the financiers gain control. The profit cycle doesn't even stop when the shooting does. In fact, that's when the second wave of profits begins, the reconstruction phase. After countries are bombed into rubble, who gets the lucrative contracts to rebuild the roads, the bridges, and the oil fields? Companies often linked to the very same interest that profited from the destruction. Think about post-war Iraq. Companies like Halliburton received billions in no-bid contracts. It's a perfect circular system. War creates destruction. Destruction creates the need for rebuilding, and rebuilding is financed by more debt, owed to the same banks that funded the war in the first place. War, debt, destruction, rebuilding, more debt. It's a self-sustaining loop that needs conflict to survive. This isn't just ancient history. Look at the last few decades. From Vietnam to Afghanistan, from Iraq to the current conflict in Ukraine, the pattern repeats itself with stunning precision. Each war serves to expand defense budgets, increase national debt, and strengthen the control of central banks. It's what some call the era of perpetual war for perpetual profit. The enemies change, the flags change, the rhetoric changes, but the underlying financial mechanism remains identical. This brings us to the hidden weapon, the true source of power in this entire system: debt. The real power isn't in the bombs or the fighter jets. It's in the control of money. By funding nations at war and owning their debt, the financial elite essentially own their peace as well. A nation burdened by insurmountable debt is not truly sovereign. Its decisions are influenced, its resources are claimed, and its future is dictated by its creditors. They don't need to occupy a country with soldiers when they can control it through its balance sheet. So, what is the final, unavoidable truth? Wars are rarely fought for the noble reasons we are told. They are not primarily about freedom, democracy, or national security. At their core, they are a mechanism for the massive transfer of wealth from the public to a tiny elite. They are the engine of a system that runs on debt and destruction, a system that enriches a few at the expense of the many. This pattern is ancient, but it's operating right now, in our world, under new names and new flags. The next time you hear the drums of war beating, ask yourself, who stands to profit? Because behind every bullet fired and every bomb dropped, there's a price tag, and someone is cashing the check. Thanks for watching. If this opened your eyes, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you next time.